What is up, you guys? My name is Madison. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today, I'll be starting a new series on my channel, and these are pretty much the only type of videos that I've been watching for the past 6 months, 7 months, a really long time. And I'm 16 years old. I'll be 17 in December. It's crazy, but I also noticed that I have a lot of makeup, specifically a lot of eyeshadow. And I figured to help go through it, I would do a Pan That Palette series, because most of the eyeshadow I do have is a couple years old and makeup does expire. So I wanted to kind of go through that. And I've also been watching a lot of Project Pans, but that I probably won't start until the beginning of next year if I do decide to film it. But I do kind of have them going on my own. But with eyeshadow, it's a lot harder unless it's like in single form, which I seem to go through pretty quickly. But palettes, I kind of neglect and don't go through as often. I'm also sorry about the lighting. It's like 11:30 at night, so it's dark outside. I tried my best to kind of get the light even, but it's not working that well, so just bear with me. But I have decided to have a Pan That palette and then a companion palette, which I saw a couple people do so they don't get like bored of their Pan That palette, which is something that tends to happen, which is why I don't use palettes that often, because I do get bored of eyeshadow pretty quickly. But this kind of just, I wanted a motivator to help go through my eyeshadow, and this is the best thing I can come up with. So the palette I will be painting is the Modern Renaissance by Anastasia Beverly Hills. I do have March 20, so I know when this project will end, and I have it on my other palette too, on the back of my other palette. But recently I've been seeing this palette be panned a lot, and there's rust on the bottom of them, which is kind of what inspired me to specifically pan this one. There's also only 0.7 grams, which means that the pans are just a little bit more shallow, and this is the palette that I tend to reach for the most out of all of them, so I figured this would be the best route to go. So this is the inside. As you can tell, it doesn't look from afar that I've used it, but there's obvious use in it. I have, going in order, a nice dip going in tempera, golden ochre. There's a tiny dip going, but not much. Vermeer, there's a pretty big dip. Same thing in Bon Fresco and Antique Bronze. Love Letter, there's obvious use, but there's no really sign of me, using it often. Cypress Umber, again, there's use, but it's just kind of too dark for most of the looks I go for. To the bottom row, Raw Sienna, there's obvious use. Burnt Orange, there's a dip going. Primavera, I'm probably going to end up hitting pan in the next couple of days because I use this one the most, especially for in a corner. Red Ochre, there's a pretty small dip going. Venetian Red I don't use often because it kind of just blends away into nothing on my eye. Warm Taupe, there's use. And then Regular, or however you pronounce it, I don't use it this much or use it that much because it's not the shade of orange that I tend to go for if I'm doing an orange look, but I still use it. There's still use in it, and yeah. So this is the palette that I will be using for the next year until March 2021. And yeah, so my companion palette is probably the oldest palette in my collection because I've had this for 5 years, and then it was my mother's for another 2 before she gave it to me. This is the Estee Lauder Pure Color Eyeshadow. This isn't cruelty free, but this one is pretty old. This is a nice companion palette to this one because it has a lot of lighter shades in it, and there's also only 0.4 grams in each pan. So this is the palette. So the blushes, I probably won't use that often because I have a bunch of other blushes that I want to go through, but I do end up using this as an eyeshadow quite a bit. Really the only shadows that I use are this top row, and then the brown right here, and then the two more gray shades. And honestly, if I finish those or hit pan, then I'm going to be completely fine if this isn't done in the next year. Yeah, the blues and the purples, not really my cup of tea. If I go for a color, like a blue eyeshadow look, I tend to go into my Juvia's Place, and my purples, I tend to go into my NYX Ultimate Brights. So maybe if I make maybe if I make an eye look like that, I can incorporate those, but it doesn't happen very often, so I really don't mind if I don't use those up. Same thing with the blushes. Not gonna be worried about it. But those are my 2 palettes that I'll be working on for next year, and I will do bi-monthly updates, and we'll just see how that goes. So that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. All my social medias will also be down below. I know this isn't something that I would normally do on my channel, but I don't really post on my channel, so there is really no normal on it, and I kind of do just a little bit of everything. So yeah, I'll see you next time, whenever that may be. Bye!